Well, almost like Amitabh Bachchan's dialogue in Shehenshah, Akhilesh Yadav recently put out an ad with a countdown machine saying, "Aa raha hu main." I'm Pallavi Ghosh and my this week's One Take asks this question, is that can Akhilesh Yadav really arrive, or have the caste combinations and the ground realities shifted? Well, this is a do or die chance really for Akhilesh Yadav. This time he has to make it, and therefore he understands that there has to be a reworking of the strategy. But what began as a little advantage for him, where he was being seen as the sole contender to the BJP, there surprisingly Congress also has thrown a spanner in his works. I'm not suggesting for a moment that the Congress party can form the government in the state or they can do remarkably well. But for those who are dismissing of the Congress party's presence on the ground, they would have to eat their words to a certain extent. And why do I say so is because Priyanka Gandhi Vadra began late, but she's now decided that she would have to do it this time round. So she's spending a lot of time in Lucknow, in other parts of Uttar Pradesh, and her Ghoshna Patra, her Pratigya Yatra, is actually putting up at least one big poll promise which she hopes can be a game changer. And she's also learned from the UPA's program changer, game changers as well. First of all, the big card which she played certainly was that of the 40% reservation of tickets for women candidates, and that took many by surprise. This is something which she feels can change things or change the course for the Congress party, because if there's one issue on which she has been consistent on, and something which even Akhilesh Yadav keeps on raising, is that of lack of law and order in the state. While Akhilesh's focus has largely been on the generic term of failure of law and order, she has linked it to the condition of the women in the state, whether it's a Hathras issue, and of course recently in the case of Lakhimpur, she has linked it to the fact that the Yogi government is anti-women, and if anyone cares for women, it's only the Congress party, and that too only Priyanka Gandhi Vadra. So women becomes a very emotive card. It's something which worked for, say, Nitish Kumar in Bihar, it worked for the Prime Minister, the BJP in Bihar as well, and in other states as well, and therefore the BJP certainly hopes to tap in on the tremendous amount of support which the Prime Minister has on the women vote bank, which is why even in the Muslim areas he talks about triple taraq, which talks about women empowerment. This is where Priyanka Gandhi Vadra wants to cash in on. And this is also where Akhilesh Yadav has been essentially conspicuous by his absence. For example, on the Hathras issue, we saw that he was not so much out there as Priyanka or even Rahul Gandhi were. Even on the Lakhimpur issue, he was not really there. He was almost missing in action, and he actually turned up at the village, at the home of the victim, only after just about everyone else had been there. Whether that was a part of his strategy, whether he does not want to actually make too many comments, and if you notice his strategy, he's not making any comments on the Congress party or on Priyanka Gandhi Vadra specifically, because he understands and knows and sees through her strategy about trying to win over the women vote bank. Another thing she did in her Ghoshna Patra is also to talk about, for example, free hospitals and treatment for up to 10 lakh rupees should the Congress party come to power. This is in the backdrop of the whole COVID cases, encephalitis, dengue cases, because UP also has thrown up huge figures as far as these kind of epidemics or the pandemics are concerned, and she's trying to tap in on that narrative as well. And of course, she's spoken about the farm loan waiver, something which worked for the UPA as far as the 2009 elections are concerned. This brings us back to Akhilesh Yadav. Now see, Akhilesh Yadav of course knows and he rather thinks and is confident that as far as the traditional Yadav vote bank is concerned, that's not going to be budging. That's going to be largely remaining with the Samajwadi Party. But they are not the only vote bank which matters. He needs to look at the other ones. For example, the Dalits, which why you see a large number of leaders from the BSP also shifting towards the Samajwadi Party. He's also trying to woo the Brahmins. He's of course wooing the Muslim because the minority vote bank has been with him, but he's also trying to shed this image of being a minority appeasement party. So you will notice that despite the fact that the BJP or the Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath keep on attacking the Akhilesh Yadav and the Samajwadi Party for minority appeasement, he doesn't react so much on those issues. He rather confines himself to law and order issue, and also the fact that this double engine ki sarkar is actually going to be derailed by the cycle. That's the election symbol as far as Samajwadi Party is concerned. So that's the card he's playing on. Why does it become very important for Akhilesh Yadav to win these elections? Well, I mean, he's been out of power for quite some time. The mistakes that he made last time round, he's trying to undo those mistakes. Also, the Yadav Parivar seems very divided, and that goes to a disadvantage of Akhilesh Yadav and his plans to win Uttar Pradesh. And therefore, slowly and steadily, he's trying to keep the Parivar together. But more than that, what he's doing is he's trying to skip an alliance with any big bang political party. For example, the Congress. The UP ke ladke narrative completely failed last time round because it became a case of Maya Milina Ram. Neither did the Congress party nor the Samajwadi Party could kind of help each other. Their vote bank or their voters and the loyal voters were very confused because very often you would see the SP and the Congress party actually fighting with each other, and they were beginning to wonder how do we actually be seen as coming together. So this time round, Akhilesh Yadav, in interview after interview, in public statement after statement, is making it very clear, I'm not going to align myself with any large political party. So what is he doing is, he's actually aligning himself or having some kind of an understanding with smaller political parties, whether he goes with Rajbar, whether it's the RLD, so essentially that's the kind of political strategy or understanding he's trying to reach out to. And of course, let's not forget the Trinamool Congress factor. Mamata Banerjee has already said that she's going to go and campaign for Akhilesh Yadav. No surprises there. Because remember, guess who campaigned for Mamata Banerjee? It was Jaya Bachchan, who was there in Kolkata and areas around it for more than a week. That kind of a tacit understanding or help between both the SP and the Trinamool Congress is going to be seen and showcased as far as the UP polls are concerned. And the second thing is that the Trinamool Congress also understands that if it wants that larger national narrative of unseating Modi in 2024 to be successful, it's very important that the BJP is pushed out of key states, certainly a state like Uttar Pradesh. So if the Samajwadi Party wins in UP, it is going to be seen as a huge setback to the BJP. It's certainly going to help Akhilesh Yadav, but it's also going to help Mamata Banerjee's endeavour to provide a strong alternative to the BJP, and she's certainly going to be taking credit for that. And therefore, behind the scenes, there's a lot of help which is going out to Akhilesh Yadav. Now, I'm going to come back to the same question. Why does it become Akhilesh Yadav important? Because it's a question of political relevance. You always run the risk of being eased out of the political race, as the Congress party has been in many parts and also in the national narrative, because if you don't win elections, what's the power of a political party if you don't win elections? And therefore, Akhilesh Yadav also understands that, any case his position within the Yadav Parivar depends on the fact that whether he can deliver. So this time what is happening is, and it's very evident for those who are working closely to him, that he's taking a lot of advice from his father, Mulayam Singh Yadav, who one cannot deny the fact is an ace and shrewd politician. While Mulayam has taken a back seat, Akhilesh is becoming the face of the Samajwadi Party, but much of the ideas are from his father, like tying up with the smaller parties, going beyond his own caste or the Yadav vote bank and trying to woo the other political parties as well as other castes as well, like the Brahmins or the Dalits, as we were talking about. And as the BSP slowly recedes into the shadow, the Congress party tries to come up. The Akhilesh Yadav factor still may be an important factor and is emerging as a chief contender to the BJP. But I began by asking this question, that has the Congress party thrown a spanner in his works to a certain extent? See, if the Congress party starts doing well, who do they eat into? They eat into the anti-BJP vote bank to a very great extent, which is why you will see that the BJP is actually encouraging Priyanka Gandhi Vadra to come out more and more. They are a shrewd political party. They understand the more you stop her, the more eyeballs she gathers. So why are they stopping her? The simple reason is because they want her to gather the eyeballs, because the more attention she grabs, she eats into the attention which, say, an Akhilesh Yadav was getting. And Akhilesh Yadav understands that, which is why he is not attacking Priyanka Gandhi Vadra herself per se. If you see that picture which came out recently, and a very interesting and a significant one, where both of them, that's Akhilesh Yadav and Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, banged into each other on a flight when they were coming from Lucknow to Delhi. And as Priyanka Gandhi Vadra has herself gone on record to say, she walks up to him and she said he's very courteous. We exchange hellos. And then I also said, thank you very much for taking the cowards from my party. And he said, "Main kya karu?" I was just giving them a space when they wanted to come and join me. And of course, he was making a reference to many Congress leaders joining the Samajwadi Party. But she ends that conversation by saying, see you soon. Now, what could she mean? Is there a possibility that if tomorrow the Samajwadi Party indeed does very well but falls short of numbers, the Congress party may actually give support to the SP from outside to ensure that the BJP is kept out, like they did in the case of Maharashtra. In one thing you know, in politics, there is no such thing as a hardcore ideology. What becomes a question of political survival. That's a question which is relevant both for Priyanka Gandhi Vadra and the Congress party, and also for Akhilesh Yadav. Do give in your reactions. As I said, it's an election season, plenty of news coming out, and watch the space. As Akhilesh Yadav says, "Aa raha hoon main," will he indeed descend on the map of Uttar Pradesh, or will he be eased out? Well, only time can tell. Thank you so much for watching.